Hey everybody, what's going on? Corey here from C4 Social, and with me I have my client success manager, Jenna. Jenna, how you doing?
Hey, doing well. Good morning.
So listen, everybody, we don't get much of a chance to just talk off the cuff. I got to be honest with you. Jenna had no idea we were going to be recording this. I let her know about 5 minutes ago. And we just want to give you a chance as CEOs, as owners of your business, to hear what it sounds like from a client success manager, which is a title that I created. The reason I created that title is because we need one person solely in charge of measuring and tracking the results for you. Because when we work with any client, we don't do like reps or things of that nature. We have just a client success manager. I'm your rep, I'm your guy. And also, anyone on my team could probably be the CEO of this company and run this company as well. So, I guess, Jenna, what I want to talk about today is as we think about the customer journey, what are the key metrics that we like to measure from the very beginning of the customer journey all the way to the end? And how do we incorporate those into what we do here at C4 Social? Um, I guess what would be the first thing? Kind of like an awareness, right? An awareness or seeing an ad or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So really it's we like to use a lot of different platforms to track and understand how people are discovering the brand and coming into our sphere. And so predominantly we're looking at, clicks. We're understanding traffic on websites and
Yep.
our organic social platforms, determining what is catching attention. Um, I know we've even implemented some technology where we do some heat mapping on a website specifically to
Yeah.
understand where people are gravitating and what's really resonating as far as messaging or visuals go. But then more specifically, when we're translating that into a data snapshot, we're looking at clicks, we're looking at volume, and then ultimately, that's going to take us to step two, more or less, which is where are people opting in their customer journey with us,
Yeah.
um, sharing their email, somehow raising their hand to say, "I'd like to learn a little bit more. Put me in touch with what it is that you guys are doing."
It's true. I mean, so guys, there's multiple ways people can find their way to your website. We like to give them four different ways. So owned, borrowed, paid, and organic. Owned being, traffic that is on your email and SMS list. Borrowed would be influencers and affiliates, even turning your own, fans and your own customers into ambassadors for you. We do that as well. Paid is obviously paid. Of course, you're looking at, probably in this ranking order, the Meta platform, followed by Google, and then I would say TikTok. You also want to think about Microsoft, Bing, of course, and a couple others, but those are the main ones for me. YouTube, of course, is part of the Google platform, so we'll just rope those in together. But ultimately, owned, borrowed, paid, and then organic, your organic social media. I think the biggest thing for metrics would be measuring the clicks to your website from social media. So you can have the link in your bio, and you don't want to say link in bio. Go check the link in bio because those are almost flagged, right? The organic social platforms are sitting here saying, okay, if you're trying to give value on an organic channel, I don't want you to sell. You're gonna have to pay for that, buddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways to measure it. And so, Jenna, as someone comes in, let's talk about what a lead is and what a customer is, and let's talk about new and returning because I think we talk about this all the time. If you're going to spend money on ads, in my opinion, and if our paid ads director Casey were here, he'd say the same thing. In my opinion, you need to be targeting new customer acquisition, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was going to bounce back to your comment about organic
Yeah.
social as well. That's such a great proving ground for content and finding out what's working, like you mentioned, and then translating those pieces of creative content into your paid strategy, right? Because
Mm,
we've already had at no cost some discovery surrounding what's working, in communicating the right types of messages to the right audience. So that's a really great segue right into this paid conversation. So
yeah.
um, and I agree. We often will see a lot of people who, at first glance, have fantastic metrics. They've got great numbers, and a really high return on their ad spend. But upon further investigation, unfortunately, they're paying for leads that they have already paid for in the past or have somehow opted in and our term opt-in in this scenario is they've shared their email basically with the brand in some capacity, so that we would be able to remarket to those individuals for free. We don't need to pay for them again.
Yeah.
And so while it looks lovely from a metric standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, because obviously there's some loyalty indicated that they've already connected with the brand in some capacity, of course they're going to come back and buy. So the revenue comes back around and it looks great. But your efforts really should be, to your point, on that top of funnel, putting yourself out into the world, should be focused on how many new individuals can I come in contact with who have never heard about our brand. And subsequently, some of the other metrics then that we like to consider is, and for how much, and is it worth it, right?
Yep. I mean, folks, here's a scenario. I'm gonna tell you what to aim for. Aim for 70-30. I don't want to speak in a blanket statement because all brands are unique and individual, so the strategy varies. But if you can target on your targeting, right? And we're talking about exclusions lists, we're talking about demographics, we're talking about first party data that you own on these people, you can upload to the platform. So 70% of your acquisition from paid ads should be new customers, and then it goes into a lifetime value conversation, all right, and a customer acquisition cost or CAC conversation. How much did it cost you to get a new customer to buy your product? When will they return? And if you're not profitable on the first acquisition, that might make sense for your brand. When are you profitable? Is it month 2, month 3, whatever? Because the first purchase, that's going to be day 0. And then from there, depending on if your product is consumable, I mean, we typically work with consumable products because they have an LTV. We worked with a backpack brand, and truthfully, if you think about it, it's like, what's the LTV on a $100 backpack? It's not much. I don't know how many backpacks a person needs in a 1-year period, right? But if you're talking about a food item that has 30 servings in it or something of that nature, it seems to make a lot more sense. So listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to let Jenna take us out, but I wanted to give you just a short little snackable discussion about some of the KPIs that we measure. We just got out of a client meeting and I was like, Jenna, come on, we got to drop this knowledge. You look great. You look beautiful. Let's freaking do this. And just for anybody that doesn't know, I don't anticipate you do know, but Jenna is off to have a wonderful baby. She's going to have an incredible maternity leave. We're so happy for her. It's her second baby, so it's going to be incredible. But Jenna, you take us out on this and then we'll end the show.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, yeah, I would just say, as a CEO or to anyone that's really trying to optimize some of these metrics and take their total marketing strategy to the next level, I think you have to think holistically about how each of these categories, especially nowadays in the nature of our world, these work together. You know, how people are coming into the brand from all aspects, all platforms, and then how are you capitalizing on that? And then knowing your numbers, what makes the most sense from profitability standpoint. And it's not necessarily, we're not speaking in terms of good or bad. We're speaking in terms of acceptable or not acceptable, which is very different. Understanding the goals that you have for certain campaigns or certain content. What are you hoping to achieve? And evaluating success on that particular goal for that particular piece of paid media or posting or email. Sometimes the goal is to acquire new leads. And if you acquired new leads at an acceptable cost, it's successful. But oftentimes we'll maybe look at it with different lenses and determine something was not effective, where in fact it may have been, or it may have achieved an alternative goal that still gets you across the finish line ultimately. So all that to say, think holistically about all of the approaches needed for every single of those revenue channels, the owned, borrowed, so on and so forth. And then understand what it is that you need from a metric standpoint to be effective and to be profitable and to see the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve.
Yeah. Thanks for dropping the knowledge, Jenna. Thanks for taking the time speaking impromptu about this stuff, but that's how we do it here, folks. We are always ready to go, and I really appreciate your time. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, you can go check us out over at c4social.com. Or, of course, you can follow us anywhere that we're doing social media, because, yes, we are participating in that game now. You can follow us over at Facebook or TikTok or Instagram at C4Social. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.